Test. Test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got it, baby. Whoo. Oh, whoa. Remind me to look at chat a few more times. Goodness gracious. I've been so focused this week when I hop on stream that I just like dive in. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. Got to talk about this, this, and that. All right. Quickest rundown on earth, Jay Brown saying we missed all the good stuff. Yeah, here you go. You ready? Okay. So, Beery, last night, $41 single entry, won himself $9,800. Pretty dope. What a great win by a member. And then, of course, numbers guy who puts together the stack tools on the teamriseorfall.com membership. And he does all sorts of data and stuff for CG within the study hub. Last night on those two kneel downs by Tom Brady, he had 113.33, dropped down to 111.33 on that third down. They knelt it down one more time. He stepped forward. If you watch it, Tom Brady stepped forward, and they charted it as no gain. If it was another 1 yard loss, he would have went down to 110.33 underneath all of these for who knows how much money that would have ended up being. I think he would have finished in seventh place as a solo finish in seventh, which looks like it comes out to probably about 1,500. So a and probably about $18,500, 18.5K, because Tom Brady decided to step forward with that kneel down. Pretty wild. So congrats to Numbers Guy. Congrats to Beery, 2 members who went ham on Yahoo last night. Let me see my completed. I took second place. I think I tied for second place in the $7. Is this it? October 11th? That's not it. I took second place last night. Took a photo of it somewhere. In the Thursday night, it's not showing the $7. Yahoo's got the strangest. Here, let me go to this contest here alone. There I am. I don't know why. It's like Yahoo's history looks so bizarre. So I took second place last night on Yahoo, and on DraftKings, I talk about this all the time, right? Like, you guys want somebody who is giving you transparency. Okay. Well, yesterday on stream, I hit the nuts, by the way. I binked on DraftKings in the Minimax, 145.13. And what I did is I legitimately showed every single person, my friends, exactly what I did in the showdown on stream yesterday. I showed you how I made my pool. I showed you what I did with my teams. I showed you what I did with using my groups, so you could do your lineup building groups. I showed all this stuff. So I showed it all, and then I entered it live. I entered it live for you on stream. You saw me enter this onto stream, and of course, it wins. It freaking binks. Had I put it in the Millie Maker, let's see, it should have binked 145.13. Yep, would have had a $2,800 profit. Let's see, what lineup ended up cashing? The 144th lineup. Tell me 150 max ain't worth it. So 144th lineup ends up being 145.13. I think that's kind of cool, though. You know, here I am. I legitimately gave away my entire strategy, exactly what I was doing, how I was doing it, where I capped every single exposure here at 18% or something like that. So I made sure that, let me show you all the correct columns. I can't believe my mic was all screwed up like that to start. I need to look at my exposure. There he is. There's my exposure. So you guys probably remember this last night. I was like, here is how much Antonio Brown I want, how much Devonta. I capped the rest. I lowered Leonard Fournette. I made sure that every other position was 100%. I capped Jack Stoll because I wanted some of him. I capped both kickers because I think they're slightly irrelevant for showdowns these days. And on defense, I made sure that I had bumped up the Buccaneers projection a ton and then capped them at 20% so that I would get just about 20% of them, in which case I did. I ended up with, looks like 20% exposure. So anyways, I showed you exactly what I was going to do, and I freaking won. I freaking won it. So if you want full transparency, man, you're going to get it here every single stream. I can promise you that. Beery yesterday, Mr. $9,000 off a single entry, says, I hand-built and looked at projections a little to round out the lineup. I also followed the guidance to leave money on the table and left $1,500. Nice freaking work, man. And you just had the best possible lineup, and you won yourself $9,700 profit after your $41 invested. That's pretty cool, dude. So congratulations. Nice hit, my man. I'm happy for you. And here we are, my friends. Like, what do you want to see for the next showdown slate? I legitimately just went ahead and I was like, hey, this is how you do it. There's my showdown slate for the weekend. So anyways, I feel good today because we spent so much time on showdown, tiers, main slate, all that stuff for like 2 days there. And we had, a staff member binked, Beery binked, I binked, and I saw a bunch of other people in there. Somebody else binked $270 and like the 20 max. I think Jonathan had done that. He posted that. There's another person, I think Money Heel binked in the quarter max. It was like 6 or 7 different members binked something last night. I freaking love that. I love that. I think this is so cool to me that we have so many people being able to apply the information that they see on stream with the content on the website behind the paywall on their own for their own use and make their own money their own ways. Like, that is perfect to me. That's exactly what I want this to end up being. Now, this stream often turns into like a very main slate specific type lineup approach. Now, the way I'm looking at this weekend is the ownerships, they're very flat. I thought it would be different this week. There's 10 games, so I thought maybe because of the condensed player pool, there'd be a little bit higher ownerships. Well, here's all that has happened. when I'm looking at the ownership projections on our website using FC Pro, also, I like to compare them. When I'm looking at these, I'm seeing all the ownerships are elevated because there's less people, but the differential in the highest owned players to like the 10th highest owned at each position, not that far apart. In fact, I think the scale has actually shrunk a little bit compared to even last week. We had Devontae Adams at 28, 30%, Derrick Henry, 30%. I'm seeing a lower cap this week. I'm seeing quarterbacks up here at the top in the teens. And then, what is this? That we're looking at 9, 10 quarterbacks down. It's only 8% less. Like, that is not going to drive a tournament in any one way, shape, or form. Honestly, it just won't. And then same thing. Look at the running backs, like highest owned around 20%, 10 running backs down, 11% owned. Like, nobody's super highly owned. And the lower you go, the gap between the highest owned and the like 10th, 15th, 20th owned player is just not that far. It's just not that far apart. And it just, like, what the heck? Why is Travis Kelce not being projected for 25, 30%? Like, I feel like he's going to be so much higher owned. If he's not, my goodness, what an opportunity. So the more I look at every single position this week, the more I want to focus on two things. Number one, I'm going to be putting together more team stacks than game stacks. There are only 3 games this week that I'm actually going out of my way to do game stacks in. Which 3? I'm not going to tell you all of them right now. I'll go over one of them today. The other ones I want to save for the Donut Playbook, the Donuts Playbook, which goes live on Saturday for teamriseorfall.com members. I keep that private for them. I'm going to protect the sanctity of what they pay for. It's $29 a month. It's not a ton, but that's part of the value. It's a main driver. People want to see what the Donuts Playbook has, who my players are, what my strategy is, what stacks I'm on, where I'm pivoting, what I'm doing to leverage the ownership in the field, and all those stuff. So I'll get into that a little bit more into the weeds, the muck and mire tomorrow during the Donuts Playbook. Today, I want to talk about more so my setup and my strategy for the weekend. So again, there's one game I'm game stacking. The rest of them, for the 3 games I'm game stacking. And the rest of them, for the most part, is just going to be focusing on team stacks. Now, if you're doing a single entry, there's multiple ways you can go ahead and set up your own team stack. You can lock in the quarterback itself. Let's say I love me some Matt Stafford team stacks. You go Stafford. You can slide over, grab, Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee or something, and like there's your 3-player game team stack. You don't have to run anybody back on the Giants if you didn't want to. That's a team stack. How I prefer to do this, by the way, is not sit there in your toilet doing all these things. You want to set these up through your groups. Now, somebody gave me a great suggestion, by the way. I love it. Somebody gave me a great suggestion on YouTube in the replies. I ask you guys to hit the like button daily and drop a comment. A lot of people do. I'd say about half the viewers who watch these streams leave a like button. We have about 400 viewers per day total after the stream. And then the people who watch it, and I'd say like 50 or so likes. So what is that? A little bit less. But when we do the live stream, it's 50 to 60, and about half of them like it. So if you're watching, first off, hit the like button. Second off, leave a comment afterwards if you have any inquiries or concerns or even questions that maybe could help me out when I have to review it. So the person said, Mitch, if you're putting together these stacks, instead of going through and making multiple groups, just do this. You could put in max players from team 3, right? And then you could do max players from game, just type in 4. So if I were to go ahead and say, I want, 3-player team stacks, and I always want to run back, but I don't ever want 5-man stacks, and I also don't want to have 3-player game stacks. I always want them to be 4-player game stacks. Bang, that's how you would do it. And then you don't have to set up multiple groups. Boom. I freaking love our community. It's so helpful, man. And when this person said it, he didn't do it to be like, oh, Mitch, you should have known this after 2 years of using FC. He was just like, hey, I think this is super helpful. It's efficient for me. And I was like, you know what? Hot dang, that's a great idea, dude. So I'm not going to show you Auto Group Creator. We do it a million times. But, let's say I were to make my group here and I also wanted to run it back. Here's how I would set this up. So let's say Mahomes here is the group I'm making. So I want to make my Chiefs stacks. And I also want this to be a 4-player game stack, but I don't want 2 players from the opposing team. I just want 1. Here's how I would do this. I'm going to set this up and I'm going to say, let me type in KC. All right, so I'm going to add Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Darrell Williams, McCole Hardman. All right, and now I'm going to type in Washington. I'm going to add McLaurin. I don't know, Gibson, whatever. Let me just click these quickly. Okay, whatever. So these guys are all in here. Now I'm going to say I want to use at least 4. Excuse me, 3. I'm going to use exactly 3. So I'm going to use exactly 3 players from this group. So it says if Mahomes is my quarterback, it's going to use 3 players from this group. However, instead of having to also set up my position stacks, all I did was do this in groups. And because I said max players from each team, this means Mahomes will be in there with 2 of his players, and there'll be 1 from the opposing team. Limit opposing players. Boom. There we go. So now I've set it up to 3-player stacks with 1 from the opposing team. How dope is that? So freaking cool. So let me slow it down for you. Somebody said, Mitch, you go so fast. Well, partially why I do this, because it's not a tutorial-based stream. This is a support-based stream, right? Do a lot of lineup study, lineup rewind, little tidbits like this, and it's on video. Go back, hit the pause button, take your notes if you have to, but it's not a slow it down step-by-step tutorial. We have those on the website. That's not this. So players from max from each team, 3. Players from the game, 4. Limit opposing, 1. And then I went to my groups, and I can add everybody right there. So I am ready to rock and roll. Now, what I can do from here, my friends, is I can control my projection within the Mahomes stack. So if I know, oh my gosh, I love Travis Kelce this week, I'm going to make sure I get him involved. I'm going to give him a 30% increase on projection. Terry McLaurin, maybe I want to make sure he's in on a few more of them too. So I'm going to give him a little projection boost. And then I would close this out. I've made my rule down here. It says I use exactly 3. And I could crunch out my lineups. And then once I do my Mahomes lineups, everything works out, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3 from the Chiefs. And my run back option from Washington, Terry McLaurin. And look, here's the 2 projected boosted in guys, Terry McLaurin and Travis Kelce with Patrick Mahomes. There we go. So I was able to set up my lineups here for FanDuel simply by just doing my group setup, including both teams, and then just using the general options and focusing on how many players from the game and limiting. That is awesome, because you know what I've been doing for 2 years? I make a group for Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs, a group with Washington and Mahomes, and then I set up my rules like that. Or I'll do a big group of a team, not do a Washington group, and then put in the position stacks and say QB with at least, 1 wide receiver, opposing tight end or whatever from the opposing team. You know what I mean? So like I'll set this up one of the 2 ways, but I've never really had like a set way to do it. I just kind of like whatever's easiest in the moment. And, it all does lead to the same, it's different paths leading to the same destination. So it's not like if you do it this way versus what I just showed you versus the other ways, that you're all going to get different lineups. No. I mean, ultimately, you're all going the same direction. You're just kind of going down your own little paths. But what I love about this most is I was able to say, I'm going to make sure that McLaurin and Travis Kelce would be in there for sure. I wanted them in there for sure. And if I were to do 20 lineups of Mahomes, I'd probably tinker this a little bit so that these are my 2 highest owned guys inside my Mahomes stacks, but that they wouldn't be 100%. I'd have Kelce maybe 65, McLaurin 50%, and then the rest of them kind of spread out around the rest of my lineups for that final 3rd spot in the stack. I freaking love it. I love it. It's such a cool idea. So I definitely wanted to cover that today because, I mean, if you did this for each and every quarterback that you liked for the week, if you ended up with 7, 8 different quarterbacks and you simply just quickly made those groups, messed around with the percentages for each player based on the quarterback being used, I think it's a great way to build lineup building groups. It kind of focuses you a little bit for what you're trying to accomplish. I think when you just go straight up through the rules, through the position stacks, you don't have enough control. And I think you're leaving a lot up. You're leaving, FC is going to dictate, your exposures within each stack totally based on your projections. And if you're not messing around right here with these to make sure, again, we went over this on Monday and Tuesday, 2 days where we hit the milli maker on the 2nd day because we were adjusting the projection percentages right here within each stack. You want to do that so you're not 100%. Like if I ran Mahomes for 20 lineups, there's a chance I get 100% McCole Hardman with Patrick Mahomes, no Tyreek Hill, and no Travis Kelce. Seriously, that could happen if McCole Hardman was the highest projected value out of the group. So you have to go out of your way to adjust the percentages right here. These are projection boosted percentages. So I'm saying when Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback, Travis Kelce's 11.78 projection is increased by 30% every time Mahomes is used. That's all that is saying. You're going to want to do this until you can kind of even out your ownerships for each player within each stack. That is such a misstep that people just, they go right over it, man. And they're focused on like, well, I got 15 lineups of Mahomes. That's 10% exposure to him. I love that. But then they don't go look and see, well, all of their Mahomes lineups have, 90 or Justin Herbert. Prime example. 100% of the lineups last week would have had Keenan Allen in there with Herbert, unless you adjusted to make sure you got some Mike Williams and some Austin Eckler, right? Because it's all based on the value. And the value is going to be driven by that points per dollar factor. Those cheaper players often are going to have a decent value if they have a decent projection. The cheaper they are, even if they have like a moderate projection, it's just going to be a higher value. The higher priced guys, unless they have a Herculean projection, it's going to be hard for them to be projected for 3.0. I mean, I can click the all button real quick, sort by value, and these names at the top, they're not going to be the best plays. Look at these names. Well, Lamar's up there. That's good. But look at Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz. Mahomes is good. Then it's Teddy B, Jones. Well, let's go look at like the wide receiver position. All right. So you got a couple studs up here. That's for sure. But then you're cooking down here with Brandon Cooks, Jacoby Myers. Let's see. Cortland Sutton's here. I mean, these are like the 6K guys. There's Justin Jefferson way down here, 7.9. Hopkins, 7.7. Some of the guys you really want solid exposure to, you're not even getting exposure to because their price tag's too high. CMC is 10K. Nick Chubb, 8.1. Darrell Henderson, 7.3. 7.7 for Madison if Cook is out. So your value is going to be driving where your stacks are going. So you really just need to pay attention to what your value is. And yeah, shout it from the rooftops. Exactly. You just got to start focusing on your groups. It's crucial to making sure you can set up winning lineups. I'm not even kidding. It is so crucial to control your groups. Now, let me show you a quick example of how important the groups are, okay? I'm going to go to position stacks. I'm going to make this real simple, and I'll say I want 2 players, same team, and we'll go 1 opposing team, all right? Now, watch this. I'm going to set the exposures here at the quarterbacks to, I don't know, we'll go 10%. So we can just spread it out and get a good example. I'm going to crunch for 150. And then let's look at some of the stacks and the percentages within those stacks. You would still need to stack rules. Otherwise, you end up with a Mahomes of 3 players from the opposing. No, that's not true. That's not true. Because remember, in my general options, my friend, beforehand, I had set it up. Where is it? That I'm limiting opposing players to 1. So if Mahomes is in there with, if Mahomes is my quarterback, it can only allow 1 opposing player there. So that's why in that first crunch example I gave you, it was Mahomes, Darrell Williams, Travis Kelce, and then the 1 run bring back was Terry McLaurin. But if you want to avoid it and just make sure, you can always just add this rule. You could do what I showed you on the groups and then add this. That's fine too. This bottom one right here, quarterback with at least 1 running back, wide receiver, tight end. All right, so let's look at the exposures. So check this out. So let's say I look at Teddy B. I go to running backs. Look at this. Javonte Williams, 67% of all your Teddy Bridgewater stacks. Do you want that? Do you want that? I don't. There's no freaking way I want that. I hated it, in fact. I don't mind the fan exposure. That's decent. Sutton's decent. But I'm not trying to get 67% Javonte Williams in my stacks. Heck no. No freaking way. And look at the players on the run backs. Josh Jacobs is being used 60% of the time in the run backs. Is Josh Jacobs a PPR option to you when the team is down if you're saying Teddy B is going to be throwing the ball a ton? No. So if you crunched out your lineups and all you looked at was this, and you're looking at the quarterbacks saying to yourself, yup, I feel like I got my spread. It's perfect for this week. Oh, yeah, I'm going to win big money. If you don't go back and you don't look at the exposures within each and every stack, you're in trouble, man. You're in trouble. I mean, shoot, here's Taylor Heinicke. Look at this. Not a single Travis Kelce bringback option. Are you kidding me? Do you want to do a stack with Taylor Heinicke in a game with a 56-point total? Both defenses giving up 31 points and 32.4 points per game. That's the Chiefs and the Washington football team. The 2 worst scoring defenses on the slate. Both defenses are in bottom 4 in the NFL in yards per game given up through the air. 294 per game through the air for Washington, 296 per game for KC. I know all this because I was on the Fantasy Pros podcast yesterday and I gave all this data. Do you want Taylor Heinicke out there for 15 lineups and not have a single Travis Kelce lineup? If that is something you're comfortable with, you're going to lose your money. Truly, you're just going to lose your money. You have to be smarter about how you want your exposures to be. You have to make sure you're getting the proper setups. You do not want Taylor Heinicke out there. And then within those lineups, a third of them have Darrell Williams as the bring back option. Yuck. Just terrible correlation. But how many people, raise your freaking hands, how many people don't do this? Be honest. Raise your dang hands. A lot of people look at this and this only. Quarterbacks, 11, 15 of this one, 27 exposure to Daniel Jones, and that's it. That's all they do. Yeah, it's a recipe for failure. Long-term recipe for failure. Can it work week by week? You get lucky. Who doesn't get lucky? You can absolutely get lucky. But you certainly are not going to have long-term profit doing something like that without looking into it. You want 100% Jonathan Taylor with Carson Wentz? Probably not. Probably not. And so on and so forth. Shoot, I mean, look at this one. On the other side, too. Patrick Mahomes. We have 0 Tyreek Hill with Mahomes in 15 lineups. 0. We have all Travis Kelce. So it's like your Heinicke stacks have no Travis Kelce. Your Mahomes stacks have no Tyreek Hill. You don't want that. You probably want some kind of 70-30 split, 70% Tyreek Hill inside Mahomes stacks, 30% Travis Kelce, and then maybe flip it, 40, 50% Kelce with Heinicke and 50% or whatever with Tyreek Hill with Heinicke. Like, you're going to want to mix it up a little bit. Exactly. You have to invest a little time into your lineup building. It's totally worth it. Now, yesterday, I showed you exactly how I built my showdown stacks, my showdown lineups on live stream. How long did my live stream take? 20 minutes to set up my stacks. And I crunched how many times? 2. The second one I entered. So I set up my stuff first. I crunched it. I was like, that ain't it. I'm going to change this just a little bit. I'm going to add these groups, and then I'm going to crunch it again. I looked at it. I was like, that looks good. I'm going to enter these on the DraftKings, and I did it live on stream, and I binked yesterday. I showed you exactly how I did it. Now, what I'm showing you right now, where I will go through and I will make these groups, this right here that I did with Patrick Mahomes, where I ended up with all Travis Kelce, I don't want this now. I actually hate it. In fact, I had no Tyreek Hill. That's disgusting to me. If he's healthy and playing, he has to have some type of exposure here with Mahomes. So I would redo that. And now check this out. It's going to take you some time. Oh, by the way, let me remove another one. So I'm also going to lower Darrell Williams, minus 25. I don't want that much Darrell Williams with him. So let me recrunch. We'll look at Patrick Mahomes. And look at there. You're already seeing some adjustments. Here's Mahomes. Very first lineup. Mahomes, Kelce, Hill with McLaurin as a run back. I freaking love it. I love it. And what did I do? Live on stream, it took me 30 seconds to crunch 2 different times to get some type of exposure spread. And let's go ahead and just look at those 10 real quick. So I've got 12 Mahomes lineups. Oops, I didn't mean to crunch more. Where is he? I have 13 Mahomes lineups. Running backs, look, no, I don't have Darrell Williams anymore. So he's gone. So that was an easy fix. My wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, 92%, Hardman, 8%, and 100% Travis Kelce. Now, if you're like, well, I don't want that much exposure to all of them. Okay, well then now you got to keep adjusting a little bit. Decrease, give Hardman a few percentage points, and you're not getting, I don't know, let's pretend Curtis Samuel's playing. You're not getting any Samuel, and all you have is McLaurin. Well, then take him out. Maybe you want some Gibson. Okay, so now I'm going on to my third crunch I've done so far in 3 minutes of while I'm talking, by the way, to get my exposures. And we'll see if I was able to adjust things to a point where it made a significant difference. And literally, this is what I will do over and over and over again with my 10, 12 different quarterbacks I use that week until I feel like my exposures within each stacking group are close to how I want them to be. So honestly, you don't even have to crunch for 150. If you just did this and you're like, I'm going to crunch 20 lamps of Mahomes just to test, you could do that. All right, let me check. no Darrell, 50% Tyreek, 60% McColl, 90% Travis Kelce. All right, that's a lot better. And if you felt good with that, guess what? You're done with him. Let's move on to let's move on to the Taylor Heinicke side now, or let's move on to Matt Stafford. Okay. So then I go in here and I create a Matt Stafford group. I set up the group the same way I did for the Chiefs in Washington. I do the Rams and the Giants, and I go back and what the heck, my friends, I'm going to start crunching out 20 lineups at a time with Matt Stafford until I am able to see my Matt Stafford exposures for his 20 lineups and adjust them the way I want. 100% Cup, only 75% Woods. I have 20% Higbee. There's a little bit of Ingram. I don't have any exposure to Sterling Shepard. I have decent exposure to Kadarius Toney. Okay, I know what I need to do now. I'm going to go back and I'm going to lower Cooper Kupp's projection within the Stafford stacks. I don't go up here and I don't adjust Cooper Kupp's total projection. That's not what I'm doing. I'm only going to adjust his projections within my Matt Stafford lineup building groups. All right, I've moved on. Now I know Cooper Kupp. Now I know Matt Stafford to set up. Let's do Dak Prescott. I go set up my Dak Prescotts. I do 20 Dak Prescott crunches. I adjust 2-3 different crunches. I feel good about him. I move on. Now I got Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, so on and so forth. By the time you're done, you'll have done this for your quarterbacks for that week. If these are your quarterbacks, there you go. You've got your quarterback pool, and you've got 10 different quarterbacks. You have all these perfect groups set up so that every single lineup that Lamar Jackson pops in, all the exposures to his pass catchers and the opposing pass catchers are perfect to how you want them. So when you run out your Lamar Jackson stacks, you're going to have 6. Maybe you start it in the beginning. Mark Andrews is in there 100% of all 20, and you don't want that. So you redo. And by the end of it, you've got Mark Andrews for 60%. Marquise Brown's in there for 30%. On the other side, Austin Eckler, 25%, Mike Williams, 40%, Keenan Allen, 15%, and you've got 5% to Jared Cook. But you were able to get all of that, spread out your allocation for all of those pass-catching targets within your Lamar Jackson stacks because you went through and you tested for each and every quarterback. Making money in DFS isn't as hard as you think it is, but it definitely isn't the easy button. There is no such thing. You can upload projections, crunch, get lucky any given day. Absolutely. But if you're looking to be a long-term profitable player, you have to take an extra step forward. You have to put in a little bit of extra effort. And I promise you, over the long haul, you're going to put yourself in a better probability of hitting your personal potential. I'm not promising winnings, but I'm promising you that you will be in a better spot to hit that probability of all that potential. And that is the truth of the matter. I'm not going to be a snake oil salesman and say, if you use our projections, if you use FC, you're going to win money forever and ever and ever. There's no way or shape or form that you're ever going to be a losing player. DFS is freaking hard. It changes each and every week. The trends in how to build lineups change. The way you build your lineups change. The way you should be building lineups change each and every week because every slate is unique. It's daily fantasy sports for a reason. Each slate is daily. Each daily slate is unique in and of itself, to itself, and it's totally irrelevant to an extent to the previous slate. It's different players, different matchups, there's different scenarios going on, different things that are going to have to play themselves out in your lineups, and hopefully what you project being the winning strategy, the winning theory comes to fruition, and you find yourself just getting paid on Sunday afternoon. So I just want you, my friends, to just focus on putting a little extra effort into what you're doing this weekend. Make sure that you are trying to theorize what you want to happen and then make it happen in FC. It ain't easy. There are some times when you come back here and I show you on a Monday when we go through lineup study, Tuesday lineup rewind, and you're looking at this and I have 60 different crunches. It did not mean I crunched 60, 150 lineup entry crunches. No. You saw 62 different crunches at the bottom of my screen. That probably meant it took me, 50 or so different quick 20 crunches for my quarterbacks until I got to the perfect exposures for each one. So there we go. Love y'all. I don't know what, man, you got some woe was me and you if you think I'm yelling at you. I ain't yelling at you. I'm just fired up, man. You ever been around a coach? The heck? Coaches do this, man. I used to coach. I coached football, played some college. I've been around it forever, man. I can't help myself. On a roll. I love you. I appreciate you being here. I really do. I hope no one feels like I'm yelling at you. I'm honestly trying to give people some honest assessment on what DFS is and how I envision being a really good way to play and make money. And they really tell you what to do. I honestly just want you to see what I do. And then you guys do what you want from there. It's on you to make sure that you play the way that you're comfortable with and make money your own way. I'm going to keep all of the lineup building groups and which teams I'm going to be doing team stacks versus game stacks with. I'm going to give that away in the Donuts playbook. That's going to be private for the site this week. And I actually think what I just did was very, very solid for people, especially being out here free on the internet. You guys go ahead and you can grab that link. Okay. It's the subscribe link. And if you want some help, if you need some help inside FC, if you need some help with Rise or Fall and you want to use our site, our tools, stack tools, study hub, core plays, core picks, player pools, private streams, the private lineup building videos, the private lineup building articles, Donuts playbook, the lineup building flow chart, all sorts of stuff that's VIP stuff. And you end up wanting $20 to get on FC every single month, go ahead and grab that link inside Discord. I'll show you what it looks like when you get there, so it's not new or random to you. It looks like this. You'll see there. You'll be like, oh, okay, cool. I know where I am. Kind of tells you what we do, who we are, and I hope this is helpful for you. I hope today was of value to you. And honestly, hit that like button on the way out. Go ahead, subscribe if you've never been here before. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. And again, Sunday mornings from 9 to 11:30. I'm in here with my man, Chris Robin, a.k.a. at Detroit Beastie. You can find me on Twitter at DFSndonuts. And I will see you in Discord, my friends. Do not forget, and I've held on to this one close to the vest all season. Don't forget, my friends, fortune favors the bold. Have a good Friday. Good luck.